So now let's switch gear and talk about another class of summary statistics, which is the measures of variability. Now we have looked at the measures of location, right? And although they're helpful, the measures of location don't tell us very much. In particular, the measures of location provide information about the center of the dataset, right? For example, the mean and the median would do this, and they provide information about the location of the data points. Okay, so the percentiles do this, but the measures of location tell us nothing about how much variation there is in the data. Okay. Now, why do we care about variation in the first place? So let's look at a motivating example. Why? To begin with. Okay. Now suppose you want to invest in a stock, right? Let's call that stock A. And you were told that over the past 5 years, the average return was 8%. Okay? So stock 8 has an average return of 8% over 5 years. That looks like an attractive option to put your money in. Right? But here's the problem. Let's say you have, so this is year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and then year 5. Okay? It's entirely possible for the stock to return 8% for each of the last 5 years, right? But then it's also possible for the stock to return 12% over the first 3 years, and then 2% in year 4 and year 5. And then it's also entirely possible for it to return 20% in the first year, 15% in the second year, 12% in the third year, -3% in the fourth year, and then -5% in the fifth year. Right? If you are in the latter two scenarios, you may want to give it a second thought. Right? Actually, this should be -4 in the last year to ensure that the average return was 8% over the past 4 years. Okay. In any event, what I want to note here is that there's no variation in the first case here. There's some variation in the second scenario, right? And then there's even more variation in the third case. So the measures of variability allow us to describe the amount of spread in the data, so we can compare between these options, for example. So measures of variability allow us to describe the amount of spread in the data.